welcome back to Highland ADV. Out myself for a quick run, so I thought I'll do a proper review of the GSX1400. And really, why do I like the bike so much? Why I would recommend it for other people. First of all, it's an easy bike to ride, 1400 engine, huge amount of torque, but not ridiculously fast. It's got a bigger engine than most modern cars now. 1401 cc. So really effortless to drive. The seat height is quite low, so it suits people that are kind of short in the inside leg. And in terms of handling, it's absolutely beautiful to drive. I'll talk a wee bit more about the bike and the different models, but I've had this one for 3 years now, and I've had a GSX1400, 3 different models since 2008, so quite a while. 18 years of these bikes, so really good. This one I'm on is a 2001, it's a K2. They didn't make the K1 in the UK, only Japan. So this one being a 2001 is the very first of the bikes to come to Britain. It's a British bike, it's not an import, so, and it's in original condition, which I'll go through when I get a chance to stop. So I'm in top gear doing just about 35 mile an hour. And the torque is phenomenal. There is a video, an Australian video, where there's a guy puts one of these up against a fire blade, and it actually beats the fire blade to 400 yards, I think it is, from a standing start. Mainly due to the torque, and it also beats it on a rolling start up to about 400 yards. Obviously the Fireblade's a phenomenal bike with a lot more brake horsepower than this bike, but not the same torque. Yeah, it's a beautiful bike, even for this little country roads. Aye, so there she is. 2001 K2 GSX1400. All original. The only addition to the bike is the crash bars here and the radiator guard, and then the small extension to the front mud guard just to keep some of the stone chips off the downpipes. Everything else is original on the bike. So yeah, fantastic bike to drive. The low end torque, as I've just been saying, is just unbelievable. It's a big beast of an engine, a 1400 on a motorbike, but it's really easy to drive. I mentioned the seat height being quite low. I've got a CB500X, which is really considered to be a very good learner bike. The seat's higher than this one. This bike's lower and slightly different riding position. Your feet are higher, but this, you could sit on this bike all day long for touring. Beautiful bike, even without the wind protection. As I said, it's not a bike for going daft around the countryside. It's a very sedate driving machine. Brakes are perfect on it, the big front discs. Yeah, it's a fantastic bike. I couldn't recommend it any more to people. When I got the bike, there was a little cover on here, a little wind guard, which really spoiled the look of the bike. So the whole, one of the impressive things about the bike is this double chrome clocks and the big chrome headlights. So with the wee wind guard on there, it did detract from the actual style of the bike, so I took it off. But everything else is just the way it came. Original. It's not flawless. There's some stone chips on here. I actually was going to polish that out because there was some spidering, you call it, on the casings at either side, and I polished them out. So I could do the front fork stanchions and polish them up. That might be a winter job, but it's original, and the bike's 25-year-old, so it's going to have some minor sort of scuffs and scrapes. It's actually in mint condition for the age of it, really. So I can't recommend it enough. So I'll get a wee bit of drone footage of the bike here, and I'll talk a bit more about the other bikes that I've had, the other GSXs, and why I prefer this one in a little while. So I hope you're enjoying this view of this. This blue wasn't my first choice. The blue and white and red was my original one, but I'm actually liking the blue. I think the blue is actually probably the best colour on the GSX, but that's a personal choice to everybody. 4x2 is stunning. Still got the original cans, the original exhausts, and the chrome covers underneath. So it's really good. I've got a little bit of drone footage there of the GSX. Have another little chat about it and a little run along the road here. So the first bike I got was a K7 in 2008. It was the last of the bikes made for Europe. It was actually a foreign import. It came from Denmark, I believe. Brand new. It had the silly bazooka exhaust, the 4x1, which I actually never liked from the day I got the bike, so I kept it for 3 years, and I swapped it for a K4, which was a 54 plate, 2004. Sorry, the first one, the K7, was a blue, red and white, which is probably the preferred colour by most people. The proper red, blue and white Suzuki colours. It was a lovely looking bike, apart from the big bazooka exhaust on one side of the bike with a catalytic converter. So then I swapped it, as I said, for a black K4, 2004. And it was the last of the 4x2 exhausts. The black and red, not so sought after, but a lovely looking bike. Again in fantastic condition. So when I bought it, it was 8 years old. And I kept it for a number of years, and I regretted. I actually sold it in a moment of weakness, and I regretted selling the bike almost immediately. I sold it, and it really took me about 2 years to find this bike, a good low mileage. This one is done 13,500 now, but it only done under 10,000 when I got it. Probably about 8.5 I think it had done when I got it. So I've had it for 3 years, and I didn't have a bit of mileage on it because I love the bike. So yeah. So yeah, it took me 2 years to find this one. I got this one 3 years ago, and it's actually the blue, the K1. It's a very original 4x2 exhaust. Lovely bike, beautiful bike. There's quite a few of them in the market that have been molested. They cut the back mudguard down to tail tidy, they call it, and unknowingly when they chop the back plastic mudguard, it's like, I don't know, about 500 quid to get it sorted again, back to original. A lot of people take the original pipes off it, and they're thousands of pounds to replace them with originals. It's everybody to their own though, you know, you do with the bike, you do what you want to do with your own bike. My preference is to keep it as original as possible, and that's what I try to do with all my older bikes. I had an H1 Kawasaki 500 triple not long before this one, and I had a GT750 kettle, Suzuki 2-stroke triple. At the same time I had the black 1400. So yeah, bikes all my life. I'm an older biker now. But when we're not out on the CB500Xs with Highland ADV, in the good weather I'm out on this beast, and I can't fault it. Can't fault it anywhere. They're going up in value now as well. So They're becoming quite collectible. They stopped making them in the UK, or stopped making them across the world in 2008, which was a pity because it's probably quite an iconic big bike. It actually reminds me of the GT750 Suzuki triple, the styling of it, which was my dream bike back in the 70s. Fortunately, I owned one in the last few years for about 10 years. Well, that bit of road there, I hope it lets you see how effortless and how easy this bike is to ride, even on single track twisty road with gravel in the middle. Probably more suited to the CB500X, that road, but this big beast, no problem at all. Beautiful to ride in these roads. And as I said, you give it the yee-haw and give it a bit of torque. Top gear, that's me in top, 38 mile an hour. Just wind it back and you're away. Up to 60 in a few seconds. how to sum the bike up? One word: fantastic. So you can't do a proper critique on a bike if you haven't got some dislikes. Have I got any dislikes? I'm having to think about it. No, not really. There is nothing I would change about this bike. The only dislike I would say is the 4x1 models after the K4, K5, 6 and 7. I'm not a fan of the 4x1, so probably if I've got a dislike of this bike, it would be it's not a 4x4 like the old Z1 Kawasaki. I know people have put 4x4 on them, and there's quite a few. You can buy the little mini silencers. There's some of them have got 4x6. But it would have been good if they'd made it in a 4x4. It'd also be very good if they brought out a new version of this bike. Really changing nothing on it. Just bring out another model like this. Of course, with 4x4 exhaust. That would be ideal. So I'll sign off now with the Keswick Bridge right in front of me here in the sunshine. Hope you enjoyed the review of the big beastie, the Suzuki GSX1400 K2 2001. If you did enjoy the video, give us a thumbs up, subscribe down below, and we'll see you in the next video.